Today we are going to talk about bridges, but we'll get there in a minute because bridges are boring and I'm sure we've got some more interesting things to talk about like coffee and interesting kit. So yes, in this case we have come off a bridge, and one thing I always go on about in Sydney is the lack of bike parking near cafes. Well, in this case, because of the amount of bike traffic through this area, this rather interesting entrepreneur has set up a mobile curbside cafe, and what he does every day is he turns up with his ute and his little van there and all those pop-up tenty things and some plastic chairs, etc., and he sets up there and sells lots of coffee. And you might think, well, why has he stopped here? Well, you ought to see the amount of traffic, or bike traffic that is, going from let's see, the Canning Bridge down to the Mount Henry Bridge, which is where we are here, and we'll just see this for the next minute or so because it's worth looking at. I mean, there's just these pelotons going past, and this is just from one morning. This is not spread over several days. This is one day's worth, and all those cyclists are heading for that point. It's like, and they get enough of them for him to make a profitable business out of it. So I guess if you're a cafe owner somewhere, why wouldn't you put in bike parking and try and attract all that money going past? Speaking of money going past, cow kit, interesting stuff. These guys were very speedy and blew me off. I didn't have the legs for them. But just up the road, came across this pack of ladies who were in some of the most interesting and colourful kit I've seen in a long time, and it's a pity we're going into the sun here and it's all washed out. I wish I'd actually stopped and said, can I get a photo of you lot in this kit, because it was quite outstanding. Certainly a lot better than the boring plain colour stuff that I get around in. Interesting little mob. Rode with them for about a minute, had a quick chat, then they all started arguing about where they were going for coffee, etc. I peeled off here and got my coffee and left them to discussing which cafe we're going to go to, because this is North Fremantle, and you could throw a rock in any direction and hit a couple of cafes. So let's get on to bridges. And the reason I thought about this was, why can cycleways be so expensive? And I think a lot of it comes down to overbridges and underbridges. So the stuff on the left in the yellow box is actually a different material to the stuff in the red on the right. And I think what they've done is actually had to dig out all this stuff here on the left and extend the bridge across, which would be a fairly expensive little civil engineering project when you think about it, trying to do that under a running road, and a major one at that. Here, this is an entirely separated bridge from the railway bridge on the right, so I guess that's being built new for the cycleway. Nice little overbridge over a busy road there, and this is the kind of stuff they do here. Instead of making you go up and down and cross the road at multiple points, you get overbridges and underbridges. And here we go again, another separated overbridge separate to the railway bridge on the right there, and there is a gap between the two, and the different materials and different ages and all that kind of stuff. You think how many millions of dollars it costs to build a bridge like that in an existing environment. This is an interesting little underpassy thing around here, not really a bridge per se, but again, interesting the way they've done it to avoid conflict with pedestrians. Now again, another one, I think everything to the left of that red vertical line they've had to excavate with leaving the road going up the top to put this underpass through. So because you can see it's all nice new concrete-y stuff here on the left. It's pretty cheap to lay down tarmac for the path itself, but doing that kind of bridge work, it starts to add up pretty quickly, but it makes a huge difference to the quality of the cycleway, to how easy it is to use. Another separated overbridge here. You can see there's a significant gap of a couple of metres between this one and the railway bridge on the right. So again, more new infrastructure. Because this morning I rode up towards Joondalup, went about 20 odd kilometres, and they hadn't bothered doing stuff like this. So instead of carving out that new section there underneath an existing bridge, they just ran you up and down the hills, and the level of effort, the difference was just absolutely massive. There's a quip that riding to Joondalup is all uphill, and I think they're kind of right after doing that for the first time. Because the new sections have infrastructure like this, and it's fantastic. The old sections don't, and they absolutely suck. So when you're looking at the pricing of cycle paths, and they seem expensive, well, I guess you need to think of, the drainage, the lighting, the moving of services, and are they putting in bridges like this? And I certainly think putting in bridges like this where possible makes it so much better to use. It's not funny, but I guess you've got to have deep pockets in order to fund it.